Today we're looking at somebody else that fell into depression. And last time we looked at Elijah, that was a major prophet, somebody that was anointed, powerful in God, and yet he suffered a deep depression. Now today we're looking at Job. Job was not a clerk or priest, he was a businessman, a very wealthy businessman, well respected, and he was also very devout. He prayed a lot every day, not only for himself, for his neighbors, for the town, but also for his children and possessions. He was prayerful. And yet, he was attacked physically, mentally. The reason why the devil challenged God, said, this man is nice because you protect him. Let's see if you leave him. And God allowed him. And we learn again that every evil stuff is caused by the devil. God allows and God sets limits around. So this should be reassuring us. So what happens to Job? All of a sudden, he's receiving a flood of attacks. Not one, not two. All his assets are destroyed. All his servants, except 2 or 3, are killed. All his children die when the house they were there collapsed. And when he continues subjecting to God and saying, I'll continue with you, Lord. You give, you take away. That's okay. The devil said, he has not got enough. Okay. So God said, okay, you can touch him, but don't kill him. So then Job becomes afflicted with a skin disease that is terrible. So the whole of his body is itching, he's scratching himself. Remember, there's no cure. So the situation is really, really bad. And he becomes like a shadow of himself. So much that his wife abandoned him to his fate and said, curse God and die. And he says, you are very foolish, my wife. Then his friends come. When he's already completely alone, then after a period of silence that helps him, because he thinks that they are, supporting his faith, helping him, then they start talking. And in summary, what they say is, well, if this happened to you, it's because you are guilty. You cannot, there is no other way to explain the situation. And they talk and they talk, and for one good thing they say, 3 or 4 are false, and they become such a pain. Just like the people that were at the foot of the cross of Jesus, that were saying, is it not that man that said that he will raise himself? After all, he has raised the others. Why can't he come down from the cross? So exactly the same thing that happens, and we know that usually this is what happens when people are suffering. People that come to support them end up wounding them more. And they talk and they talk. And what is the reaction of Job to all these attacks? His assets, his friends, his children lost, his wife cursing him, all this. He said first, well, God has given, God has taken. But then he falls into depression. And the main reason is that he's feeling completely overwhelmed. And so he ends up in chapter 2 and 3, lamenting and cursing the day he was born, saying, it would have been better I would have been miscarried and thrown away, buried or whatever. That was the point of life. He said, what is the use of life? Because it doesn't make any sense. He's regretting to be alive. But yet, in the middle of all this, he makes an effort and starts shifting his thoughts And that is the way out, the first way out of the situation. He starts realizing the fragility of life, something that he never thought about before. That life is so fragile, so easily destroyed. Secondly, he still talks. He doesn't keep quiet. Allow his brain to be completely overwhelmed. He talks. The more he talks, the more his thoughts start organizing. And he summarizes to his friends his now position. All I want is an answer to my prayer. So actually, he's gradually shifting from talking to his friends to talking to God. He said, an answer to my prayer. He said, God, I don't know where you are. I don't know. And at the same time, he's reevaluating his beliefs and certainties about hardship and its reasons. Because at the time, everybody thought that if you suffer, it's because you are wicked. You must have sinned. Because the just will not suffer that. And we know it's not true. It's a wrong doctrine. And so Job is having to reassess his beliefs. He said, I'm blameless. I don't understand what is going on. Then gradually, he shifts his thoughts from himself to God. And that is something many people don't do, but it's very necessary. He said, okay, God and I are not equals. Then he continues telling God, I've not done anything. Tell me what I have done. He's asking God not to condemn him without telling him why. That's the why question. He said, you know good and well that I'm not guilty. You also know that no one can help me. Certainly not my friends. Then the more his friends talk, the more he meditates on his situation and the nature of God, and recognized true wisdom and real power belong to God. From him we learn how to live. And then he tells his friend, look, I'm taking my case straight to God Almighty. And he summarizes his prayer at a point saying, all I want is 1, heal me, 2, answer me. And the second is actually the first. Answer me, Lord. Let me understand what's happening. And the more the friends talk, the more he tries to rebuff them, attacks, points out to them, it's not you I'm complaining to, it's God. So shut up. You're not helping the situation. And then he even defends God towards his friends. Said, who are we? Not me alone. Who are we to tell God how to run his affairs? And then in the end he said, okay, even if he kills me, I'll keep on hoping. I'll put my trust in him because I'm sure that I will be acquitted in the end. And in the end, he will be acquitted and his friends will be blamed. And he will be invited by God to pray for his friends. So we see that the way Job regained confidence, although he had very little to hang on to, was, first of all, he talked his situation over and over. And in the process of it, he shifted his focus from himself and his misery to God and the fact that God is very different. Like God said in another book of the Bible, my ways are not your ways. And that was so evident for Job. And Job recognized that human wisdom is very poor when it comes to big questions in life. And he directed his prayer directly to God. He said, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to God. And that's the way we should do. If we talk to God, God will answer. Whether it takes 1 minute or 10 days, whenever. If we hang on to God and we wait in his presence. The book of Habakkuk tells us run with a vision. I will answer. I will answer. God promised in many places, I will answer you. So, let's trust Him.